Okay, for our last notebook, Jupyter notebook that we have in this folder, we're going to clean up our resources. So, we looked at the console. We were looking all over the console. We saw the blog agent and the docs agent and the orchestration agent. And we know that we created roles and we created cognito instances, and we did a lot of work. And now I'm interested in cleaning that stuff up. So, if I ran the same scripts again, I'd probably get an error because these resource names already exist. So sometimes I just change the name just to get through the demo. But in this particular case, I'm hoping that each one of these folders eventually has a cleanup notebook which does what it needs to do. Typically, it's not a separate notebook. Typically, there's some cells at the bottom of a Jupyter notebook that would clean up. But I noticed that I'm in here, and I like this style a little bit better. But anyway, we're used to using CloudFormation or Terraform and creating resources, and then removing the stack and deleting the resources and stuff like that. And I'm starting to like this style a little bit better because this looks a little bit more like we're using how do I put it? It seems like the notebooks are storing things and IDs that we could reuse later and clean up with later, and it looks a little bit more Python oriented, and I'm starting to like it. But DevOps is hard, so you gotta figure out what your consistent process is. Okay, so let's look at this for a minute. First of all, there's no diagrams in here in this notebook. So it doesn't architecturally tell you what it's doing. And to be quite honest with you, some of the other notebooks here weren't necessarily architecturally showing me exactly what was being created and what's deployed and what's registered in the ECR registry and stuff like that. I mean, so the bottom line is, I'm gonna take this notebook on faith and run it, which is what I did before I ran the videos. So I didn't get errors in the videos because I ran this cleanup. So let's see what this says now. First, the first cell. Let's see what this does. It's restoring whatever is stored as far as state, and then it's from helpers util is importing all of these utils. So delete SSM parameter. We could see. Let's just run it, and then we could do a little bit investigation later. But the way I do it is I look at the helper utils. I look at what we have in the virtual environment. I find out what these different things are, how they're used, etc. And it's always good to go through it with detail, but we don't have time to do everything. So I'm going to first import all this stuff. Dependencies imported successfully. And now let's see what this does. Starting the runtime cleanup, it's doing this destroy Bedrock Agentcore, and let's see if that runs. From basically from the starter toolkit, we from the destroy we imported destroy Bedrock Agentcore, and then we used it here. So let's see what this thing did. It let's see what this thing did here. Starting with the runtime cleanup, default endpoint will be automatically deleted. Deleted Agentcore agent with this ID, the assistant, the docs assistant. I'm just looking at this memory manager. Initialize the memory manager. Deleted this memory for the AWS docs. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna read this output just to find out what this thing is doing, but I gotta take this for whatever it's worth. I mean, this is Amazon's demo, and I'm just looking at it and running it. That's all I'm doing. So we're learning how Agentcore works. Now, one thing like I said, one thing I do like about this is it's you know, especially using the Jupyter notebook, we have these cells that do certain things. And when I run the cell, it deleted the Bedrock Agentcore runtime. So this is really valuable stuff. And okay, so now this one used the MCP agent name. So it really just operated on Docs agent, the Docs assistant. It destroyed everything associated with that one. This one here is using the blog agent. Let's run this. It destroyed the blog agent. Now it cleaned up the run. Now it's cleaning up the orchestration name. Starting the security cleanup. It's deleting the execution role, the blogs role, the orchestration role, the Cognito resources, customer, the customer support secret. Deleted the parameters for the agent ARNs. Okay, let's run it. Here it's deleting all the roles that we created. So these tools, these utility tools, are really nice. I'm executing Python code and it's deleting everything. Let's see. Now it is interesting that they use Python to purely create the secrets manager and the parameter store stuff, and they use Python to delete that stuff. But notice they're not deploying this on dev and then deploying this on pro. Really, the sweet and clean thing about this is using my credentials file on my laptop, which points to one of my AWS environments. So the bottom line is that's the environment that we're working on, and you know, I have different profiles, but my default is pointing to my AWS account where all this stuff is getting deployed on. So in some sense, I do not have to, you know, right now I don't have to write a Terraform script to, you know, build things in different environments or break things down or create stacks and delete stacks. I'm just using one environment. As a matter of fact, okay, so let's just see this, but we're almost finished with this. So there's a local file cleanup, observability resources cleanup, a blog observability, and orchestration. See, these were the things I was just quickly looking at, but I just had to make sure that. Oh, notice now it went in and removed the agents folder. So now we're I don't know why we're getting this error. It says .bedrock Agentcore, and this is the file here, but it's not in the agent directory, so I don't know why that. I don't know why that even came up. Let's click on this, delete this. Notice there is some sort of log group on my system that, yeah, I don't know what log group this is. This is remote log group, I guess. See, we didn't look at the log groups, but so that's good. Okay, we're finished with this, and the good thing about it is I don't know what I created on my AWS account, but I don't want to get charged for it, and I don't want it to be messy, so it's good that this cleanup Jupyter Notebook was there. Now, like I said, I want to make sure I'm going to do one more thing. Well, I'm not going to do it, because what's going to happen is if I exit a PyCharm and I refire it up, you'll see this agents directory empty. But at the moment, I'm assuming this is my system issue that some of these things are not refreshing the way they should. So I shouldn't be seeing this right now because I deleted it. Okay, a little bit more interesting. Let's see what this is. Helpers utils. So let me go over here for a second and let me see. Is there a helpers folder here? I'm importing these things. But where did they go? So let me look. Let me helpers util. Okay, wait a minute. Now I know where this is coming from. I'm sorry about this. It's good to do this together. I usually give these demos so I learn a little bit, but notice there was this helpers file here. So this must have all those functions. Helpers utils. So let's go over here and take a look at this. So here's the get SSM parameter, and here's the delete SSM parameter, and here's the there's the save too. There's save functions. Well, this is a really powerful file. We've got to take this and cash in on this, because this is used a lot, and to have one of these utils do all this stuff for you is really good news. And like I said, let's see. The thing is, it doesn't. It's by default using my Amazon account, so that's the simplicity of it. You know, unlike having to store things in a certain environment and get things from a certain environment, in the pipeline it gets very confusing. Over here, it's using my account. So let's just see. And I know for a fact that you can parameterize that. You could have the accounts, the separate accounts, and do these, invoke these functions with the different accounts. Yeah, so I'm thinking out loud here. The bottom line is I have profiles in my credential file. Like I have my production account there, and if I wanted to switch to that, I'd just switch the profile the default profile. If simply put, I could switch profiles, but could also set the default to my production credentials. Anyway, that's all we wanted to show. And like I said, I recommend go through these tutorials and look at that. And if you see code that's reusable, get it. I mean, there's this, the Cognito user pool creation, all of these things that we're just looking at. Fantastic stuff. But like I said, it's a little bit out of the context. Like I've done this stuff with CDK, I've done this stuff with Terraform, I've done this stuff with CloudFormation. Now it's sort of like this is being done with Python, and I like it, but it never ends. Anyway, that's good news. Let's end this video. And like I said, if I quit PyCharm and I fire this thing back up and point to this repo, we should see all this stuff cleaned up. So you would not see the agents. You would not see this file, the Docker file, etc. Anyway, let's move on to the next video. Thank you for watching.